Well then. SRL is back, ladies and gentlemen. Again this week in China for the first time in a while on the 2021 game. I think this is the first race that we've done on the 2021 game at this track. So, interesting to see which of these drivers get used to the conditions. Of course, China, not uncommon for China to be facing wet weather conditions. We've seen it happen in real life plenty of times, so don't be surprised if you see a lot of water on the track. Don't be surprised at any point in the race. Just waiting for the race to get underway. And then we'll be going. And there we go, we have got the message for readying up. So qualifying will shortly begin. Hello Rihad. I can be heard, right? I can be heard, right? Yes, I can, cool. Oh, ready to go in China then. There we go then. In the pit lane, it looks like we're having a dry start to qualifying at least. We'll see if it ends dry or if it ends wet. Drivers will getting ready to head out to the track. You can see Nolan Mitch in the Mercedes pulls out of his box and is the first car to leave for the circuit. He'll be followed out by Larch in the Williams, who is again without a teammate. It's no average gamer, misses a second consecutive race. cars slowly moving around the track. So the first car out on track, first guys starting to prepare to get their first runs in. Very high downforce track this is, you're on throttle for only about 50% of the lap. Longest flat out section being just over a kilometre, which is of course that long straight between the long right hander of turn 13 and the sharp hairpin of turn 14. Go on board with Nolan Mitch out on the mediums to start qualifying. Nicely done through the final corner. There is a yellow flag. That is for Havoc Connor, who spun around in the final corner. Not an uncommon spot to see a car facing the wrong way, and Havoc Connor has been disqualified because he's just driven the wrong way. So Havoc Connor will start from the back of the grid, no matter what. His teammate, however, will not start from the back of the grid because he's currently going purple in the first sector. On the softs, Nuna Mitch and Lars, the only other two cars currently on laps, both on. Actually, Lars is on soft. Nuna Mitch is still on the mediums. So Nuna Mitch confident in his ability. What you see there, ERS is clearly being drained quite rapidly because he's already got 50% before he goes down this very long straight. So this track very difficult for managing your ERS levels. As you can see, the drivers even struggling in qualifying. So they only get one lap in because ZRS won't be well enough for a second run. But Noah Mitch is about to go around the final corner, shifts down, runs as wide as he can, and to the line, sets the initial benchmark pace of a 34.0. However, that is on 34.0, 34.6. That is on the mediums. We'll see what Lars does now on the soft tyres, and 3.7 seconds slower, so I'd imagine Lars has had a spin. As Rigby does a 30, it validates, but to the 33.5. NJ Devil now is the next car on a lap on the mediums in the Aston Martin. His teammate won last week out. Rehad picked up the win in Mexico, his second win of the season. Down the long straight before he's going to have to slam violently on his brake pedal to get the car stopped, because of that corner very, very tight. There's a car around in the middle sector that will be in Nolan Mitch because it's Mercedes. DJW still hasn't put out the pit lane. NJ Devil had a decent lap and he goes around the final corner, runs out of ERS, but to the line there's a 34.0 to go fastest. Paul Elite is the next driver to set a lap. He's preparing his lap. He needs to get out the way of Sunset Smiley is on an out lap. We'll see what she does on her first lap. She's invalidated, so this won't be a lap for her. This is weird what's happening between her and Paul Elite. And she actually picked up a this and next invalidated because the track map is still red. Paul Elite is clearly having some sort of issue. Lars now 1 second notice faster, sets the first lap of the soft runners. Then he's immediately beaten by Rigby, who does a 33 flat, exactly 33 flat, 0.00 for Rigby. He's now followed around by both McLarens. Have now hit the track. Sportman back after missing the last race. We'll be looking to get a strong performance for McLaren. Any cars on a flying lap? No, NJ Devil has backed off. Lars is backed off. Rigby is still going relatively quick, but I think Rigby's going in this lap. And that is VTech. His VTech might have a qualifying bad, he's tied in the pits. Sunset Spider is invalidated. The car behind her is Paul Elite. Paul Elite is on a lap, but he went off already, so I don't think this is a terribly fast lap for Paul Elite. And he's not used any RS, so there, Paul Elite isn't on a lap. So, last not on a lap, Rigby. Rigby might still be on a lap because he is going quite quick, but I think Rigby will go into the pit lane. Yep, Rigby pulls into pit lane. Sportman is the next car on a lap then. Nope, Sportman's not the next car on a lap. Razi is on a lap, so yes, Sportman is the next car on a lap. Locks up slightly before heading into turn 13 and turn 14. Very difficult corner to you have to just manage the throttle. Oh, and he doesn't manage the throttle, and Sportman just lets the car slide underneath him and finds himself facing the wrong way, so that is not the good start to qualify that the McLaren driver would have hoped for. Sunset Smiler is the only car. Actually, Queener is the next car on a flying lap behind Sunset Smiler. Sunset Smiler would struggling with the ERS, as we've seen a couple of drivers running out of the ERS on their lap. But she goes fourth quickest on the first lap. Drivers seem to be struggling a little bit. This is a very tricky circuit to nail, but when you do nail it, it's very satisfying. Queener is looking to nail his lap in. Around the final corner, the McLaren driver backs off before the line for whatever reason, and still somehow goes 0.0041 behind Rigby. So I don't know what the reasoning for backing off before the line was, but they did it. No drivers currently on a flying lap, then they all have both cars who are on that flying laps have backed up, which is Sunset and Queener. TJW is out on track, so TJW will now go for setting his first lap. His teammate also starting a lap too. Waiting for the drivers to start their laps. Queener has backed off and then tried to store up the RS that he needs for a lap, but clearly he hasn't got there, so he's pulled into the pit lane. So we'll just wait. There is the yellow flag. That is for Nolan Mitch. He's just peeled off down straight, invalidated. Didn't want to get in the way of Sportmad. Sportmad is on an out lap though, so TJW then is on an... he's invalidated. Paul Elite is the next car on a flying lap then, as long as he doesn't validate the final two corners. He does go very deep, probably deeper than he would have liked, into the hairpin. Paul Elite goes fourth quickest, a tenth and a half just over off of the pole position. I'm currently held by Rigby. We'll see Queener had backed out at the end of that lap, so interesting decision by Queener. But there is a car on a lap, that's Larsh. Larsh has, I believe, backed off because he isn't using any of his ERS. Rigby's on a lap. Rigby's looking to improve his pole time, and he does by just over a tenth to stretch the gap to Queener. He's got no Mitch. Got to be very careful on your pit exit here. Very easy tiny stuff thing. Sport Mad is on his lap. Sport Mad 1.2 seconds off of pole at the moment on his first flyer of the session. And yep, so everyone currently, TJW has again invalidated somehow. Razi is on his first lap of the session. Razi, multiple time winner this season, current championship leader, I do believe. Razi leading the championship as it stands. Razi, purple middle sector on the mediums, and strategy is the strategy on mediums. I have no idea if it is or not. Razi will brake, slams on the brakes through the hairpin, keeps it in second gear, short shifts to third on the exit, then gets to the final corner, runs the car nicely through, but clearly had some problems. 0.669 off of the pole position lap on the mediums. Rigby set that lap on the soft, so we'll see. Queener looks like he's getting ready to go out on the mediums. McLaren are receiving a car at the moment. That'll be Sport Mad peeling into the pit. Sunset Smiler on an out lap. Nona Mitch is currently improving by 2/10, which would help him gain a position. Wasn't especially clean through there. Had a bit of a snap. Although he clearly must have had a snap there before, because he's gained a entire second. So this has been is this a good lap for Nona Mitch? You'll have to say on board with him. Keeps the traction through turn 14. If he peels over to the right, he might gain some slipstream from Larsh, but he opts to not get involved in any of that. Through the hairpin, on the throttle, short run to the final corner, then you shift it back down and then onto the throttle. This is a very good lap for Nolan Mitch, and it is. Nolan Mitch, provisionally at least, goes to the top of the timing, 0.072 ahead of Rigby with a 32.826. Queener on an out lap, peels out the way. These guys need to get both out the way, because I believe Sport Mad's on an out lap too. Paul Elite has invalidated. Next car on a lap, Sunset Smiler, currently full tenths down if the game is not lying to us. and Sunset Spider would appear to have been dead whilst I was just getting a jump. And Sunset Spider has retired on track, so Sunset Spider will probably receive a penalty for doing that, because you're not meant to. Either way, just under 2 minutes I believe now left in the session, so these drivers got, oh there's not 2 minutes, there's 51 seconds, so these drivers have got to get their laps in now. Both of the McLarens are nicely formed up on the track, trying to help each other. Nolan Mitch is behind them and will probably be boxing in this lap. And the McLarens now separate themselves. Sportline's trying to leave a gap to his teammate. Now Mitch into the pit. So drivers on their final laps of the session. Paul Elite finally sets a valid lap, I believe. That was his first valid lap, and he does go 5th quickest, 3/10 off of the pole time. Queener is going out on the mediums, trying to improve on his time. He's a 10th down in the first sector. Razi, interestingly, 7/10 off the pole, went back out on the soft. NJ Devil runs the car nicely through turn 14. Couple of drivers ahead of him, that is TJW, has again invalidated, so TJW went to that final another lap, and Rigby is a 10th up on his final lap, so Rigby would currently jump up to pole position unless any of the other drivers currently behind him on track have any to do with it, because he's a 10th up around the final corner, does it nicely. Rigby does improve, he's improved by a 10th, and he gets ahead of Nolan Mitch to NJ Devil on the softs, improves by a massive amount of time, and it does a 32.359 to go quickest in the session. Queener currently 6 tenths down. Smartman, his teammate, also on a lap. So Queener around the final corner to the line, doesn't improve. Smartman does improve though. Smartman improves to 2nd position. There's a car, that's Paul Elite who's crashed. Rehad is the only car left and is just coasting. So that will be the qualifying session over, no cars left to do laps. NJ Devil will line up on pole, Sportman joins him on the front row. Rigby and Nolan Mitch make up the 2nd row for Larsh and Queener, then Paul Elite and Championship leader Razi all the way down in 8th. Sunset Smiler in 9th, just behind her Alpine teammate, before VTech and Rehad, and then TJW and Havoc Gunner didn't get a lap in after getting disqualified early on. We'll start 13th. Why are we waiting still? There we go. So, Queener will start on the soft. Razi is the only driver to start on the mediums, unless any of the drivers, actually VTech, Rehad, TW and Havoc Gunner could still opt for those mediums, should they need to. We'll see what the weather gets up to in the race. This track isn't too unknown for having wet races. Drivers got to be very careful of that pit entry as well. Very easy to both underestimate the pit speed and overestimate it too. It's almost a corner of the track in itself. In fact, it is a corner of the track in itself, so time can be lost or gained in the pit entrance, because you know you don't need to follow track limits in the pit lane. That is a very dark looking sky. That is a very dark looking sky indeed. So then drivers getting ready to take the formation lap. Harazi, VTEC, Rehan and TJW opt for the mediums. Havoc Connor, the only one to opt for hards in the Ferrari, but that dark sky could suggest rain could be headed our way. Well, it looked very dark. It appears to be a bit lighter now. Going around the final corner, the sky looks fairly clear. Yeah, it's definitely fairly clear. So we'll get a dry start to the race. We'll see if the weather has any other plans at any point. Get your predictions in the chat as the driver's about to 30 seconds away from the start of this race. Get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this race? I do not know if it's going to stay dry during the race, Yara. Queena's going to beat this race. Yeah, Queena didn't actually improve. He went back out on the mediums after having some sort of error on the first lap, probably with his controller or his wheel. Looked like he'd lifted off before the line, which then probably cost him out on a front row start. But we'll get underway very shortly as Havoc Connor will wait for him to line up in the final spot on the grid. NG Devil going to win, Rigby second and Razi third, says Yari. But we'll see as the lights come on. 5 red lights. And we're away in China. Very poor start for NG Devil. From pole position, he's already been beaten to the first corner by Sportmad and Nolan Mitch. He's going side by side with 3 wide in the middle of the pack between Queena, Paul Elite and Nolan Mitch. And that's Paul Elite who does spin around. From that corner, there's contact as between Larsh and Razi, as well as Larsh gets up into 5th, but Razi's going to have the run into turn 4. And Razi does make the move, very careful to not hit into the back of NG Devil. It's a McLaren 1-2. At the start of this race, predicted pit stop strategy, 2-stop, soft, medium, medium. Not the strategy for Havoc Connor, at least, as that is Havoc Connor who's definitely going to have that strategy. Havoc Connor spins around and it looks well, on the TV camera he doesn't have damage, but we'll go on board to see if it looks like he has any damage that's actually affecting his performance, because sometimes you just can't see the damage. Yeah, Havoc Connor probably has some damage that we can't see. Rehad definitely has enough damage. Paul Rigby has had something go wrong in the first lap. Rigby from 3rd on the grid has already lost 5 positions and finds himself down in 8th. But if he can convert that pace in quali that he had into the race, he'll probably find himself back up the grid. TJW, the biggest winner on the opening lap, 6 possessions gained after not setting a valid lap during qualifying. He already finds himself up into 6th position in that lovely looking black Mercedes. Havoc Connor stays out, so Havoc Connor must not have any damage, so Havoc Connor got very lucky to avoid any damage on the Ferrari. He does find himself 2 seconds back on the nearest car at the minute though. Larsh and Rigby both probably had something go wrong on the opening lap, because they've both lost 6 and 5 positions, and Larsh finds himself 6 in back, so maybe these are the cars that had ended themselves, and Havoc Connor has left the room. On lap 2, Havoc Connor has decided to leave. It could be a disconnect, could be not. We'll see if he needs another invite. But if he's just left on lap 2, then that is very poor. Let's go cleaner is the message. Cleaner already up into P2. Second corner, so yeah, that is Havoc Connor disconnecting because he's just rejoined the session. Very happy to just sit behind his teammate is Cleaner at the moment. Want to get Nolan Mitch out of that DRS range, and they need to be doing some teamwork. Mitch does have some very good pace here though, it would seem. Qualified 4th, already has gained a position on the opening lap. Engine Devil losing the pole position, already into 4th position, down 3 positions. DRS is enabled now on the 3rd lap of the race. McLaren's lead, then Nolan Mitch, then NG Devil, Razi, TJW, Paul Elite, Rehad, Rigby, and then VTech rounds out the top 10 before there's a big gap down to Larsh, and then big gaps between Larsh, Sunset and Havoc Connor, who have all been involved in incidents already in this race, I believe. Havoc Connor has just disconnected yet again. So Havoc Connor's internet doesn't want to play ball, it would appear. Why are the gaps at the top not working? That is weird, because we want to know what the DRS is, because those McLarens out front want to be working together to try and get that Mercedes out of the slipstream if they possibly can, and out of the DRS range. Sunset Smiler is out of this race. That is an on-track retirement for Sunset Smiler, because the car is still moving. Yeah, Sunset Smiler has retired on the track. McLaren's looking very quick. Queener making the move on Sport Mad, but they've got, so the McLarens are definitely cooperating in this race. VTech has spun round in the back. Is there damage on that Haas? There probably, I don't think there is. Didn't go, looked like he went far enough to make any contact with the wall. Queener, fastest lap of the race. Now out front in the McLaren. Paul Elite and Rigby the first pitches of this race on lap 4 off of their soft tyres. We'll see if they both had damage yet. It would appear that both drivers facing damage. Actually, no, Paul Elite did not replace his front wing. Larsh doesn't either, so probably this is maybe a strategical call. I think Rigby must have had some damage from some lap 1 contact, probably. Just running into the back of another car. Actually started 3rd, they would have been behind NG Devil. NG Devil had a very poor start. That is Havoc Connor, who has rejoined and spun the car. So Havoc Connor definitely not having a race to write to home about. The gaps between the cars have now completely disappeared. I don't have any of them now. Not even some of them. NJ Devil does not have DRS. Fradner and Mitch, those top 3 have broken away. Razi's going to look to work into those top 3, but with the DRS on NJ Devil, won't get close enough to make the move just yet. There's the yellow flag in sector 2, that's Havoc Connor yet again spinning. McLaren's looking very quick out front. We're interested to see when these guys are going to look to pit in this race. That is Paul Elite out of the race. Paul Elite becomes the first retirement of the race, spinning out of the long turn 14, going into the wall and losing a tyre. So Paul Elite becomes the first crash retirement of the race. So the McLaren's still out front. Razi gets past NJ Devil. Fourth position on track. Next target for Razi on those mediums will be, and that's Havoc on yet again spinning. Next target for Razi on those mediums will be Nerlan Mitch, who's on those old softs. High downforce track, so I'd imagine that the tyre wear is very high here. No, Mitch 2 seconds behind. Havoc Connor has now crashed out of the race. I did not see how he's managed to do that. That is Sportmad around. So Sportmad in the McLaren from second place has spun it at turn 14. Long right-hander from second place. Sportmad now promotes Razi into a podium position. Havoc Connor. His car just moved, so to Havoc Connor just retire on track as well. Really. Sportmad, very warm tyres now. We'll see if he pulls into the pits. He does. So those tyres will have some damage from, have some thermal damage from that spin. Does he take a new front wing? Did he pick up any front wing damage? I don't think he will. So it'll be a short stop for Sportmad, but he lost a lot of time from that spin. Razi is now into second place, got past Nolan Mitch. These drivers really having to push these tyres quite hard. Having to look after these tyres because there appear to be some issues already. Lots of driving cat out. NJ Devil has had an issue in the middle sector. I believe he has spun the Aston Martin. So NJ Devil from pole position hasn't been able to convert that into much race pace so far this race. Drivers starting to spread out a bit. Closest battle on the track at the moment is between Larsh and Rigby. Oh, well, it won't be any more. Rigby loses the car in the middle sector and finds himself in the wrong direction. So disappointing for Rigby. Had a strong qualifying, and then he's really struggling. When those tyres spin, you get that thermal tyre wear, and you have suddenly a lot of damage. Nolan Mitch into the pit lane. Second of the soft runner to pit. The first was second pit stop in 2 laps for the soft runners. NJ Devil glitching. What the hell? Did NJ Devil not just put into the... What the hell? Okay then. NJ Devil looked like he pulled into the pits and then suddenly was just glitching on the main straight up and down a teeny bit every time. I believe he has... Has he actually pit? I have no idea. I'm so confused. It's still telling me... Now he's in the pits again. On the... What the hell? Now he's in the pit. He's got the pit limiter on. Now he's not on the pit. Okay, so NJ Devil would appear to have pitted onto a new set of mediums. Meaty Racing, I believe that's Michael Tybe cheering on Queener in the chat. Queener's going to make it 6 laps on those softs, so, and yep, there we go, Queener into the pits off of those tyres. So Razi will inherit the lead of the race on those medium tyres. There's a yellow flag. Sportmad is again spinning on the turn 14. He's been caught out by that once already in qualifying and now twice in the race within the 7 laps. Queener onto the hard tyres then. We'll see how long he makes it. Nola Mitch also picked the hard tyres, so those two on a similar wavelength in this race. Queener pulls out the pit lane. Razi into the lead of this race. Razi looking very, very quick as he always does. TJW in second, Rehad in third. Rehad looking to get a podium this week maybe. Didn't have the best of pace in qualifying, but he has shown that he's managed to work some magic with that tyre wear in the race, picking up 2 wins in some of the higher wear tracks in terms of tyre wear. In Mexico and Hungary, both are very prone to seeing your tyres drop off quite quickly. So Rehad definitely has some skills in terms of managing his tyres. But he also has not pitted in this race. Four drivers yet to pit in this race. VTEC still going around on those mediums. Rehad, TJW and Razi also all still on mediums. Rehad has Razi's tyres will be slightly more worn, so he started on those mediums and qualified on them as well. Gap started to separate out. We've had 3 DNFs in this race. Havoc, Connor, Paul Elite and Sunset Smiler all have crashed or retired in this race. We're already 9 laps in, so this track very easy to find yourself caught unaware on. Oh, and Sportmad's been cut unaware, and Sportmad has spun in the final section. He had hard contact with a wall, and annoyingly that's just past the pit lane, and there is damage on that McLaren. You can see the front right end plate at the minimum has dropped off, and Sportmad now has to lug that car all the way around the track yet again back into the pit lane. So not the ideal race for Sportmad. Frustrating. Lucky to not pick up damage more times, because he's already spun a few times and he's going wide. So Sportmad very much struggling now with that damage. Undoing the race because he's going to have to pit and repair that surely. As we're now 10 laps in, so it'll be interesting to see what the strategy calls are from here now on. Those softs only appear to lasting 6 laps, so if you want to do a 2-stop for 2 sets of mediums, you'd need to do what, 12, you need to do 11 laps on both stints, I think. Edgy Devil, 10 laps in, Edgy Devil becomes the first driver to pick up a penalty. So these drivers finding the track probably a bit easier in the race than in qualifying. You saw TJW in qualifying didn't set a single valid qualifying lap, very much struggling to set a clean lap, invalidating, meaning that he didn't get any time in. He's had a strug race so far. Currently second of the cars who haven't pitted yet, of which there are only 4. So he would be looking to come out just probably around his teammate of Mitch. How long? I have no idea how long the pit lane is. Sportmad now will pit to repair the damage after bringing the car home around an entire another lap. TJW and Rehad swap positions then. I don't know if that was a spin for TJW or not. Unfortunately just cut. Yeah, no, those tyre temps very hot tyres. When you turn the right, you could just about see how bad those tyres were on his steering wheel from MFD. So TJW, I believe, probably has spun. Those tyres looking very, very warm. 100 degrees on that front right. So TJW probably has spun, which caused Rehad to gain the second place on the track. Still needing to peel into the pit lane, and Queener has been looking phenomenal on those hard tyres. We'll see what tyres these guys are looking. If they pit now, they're probably going for a... I'd have to imagine if they pit now, they'd be going for a 2-stop. Because those tyres are looking very, very scuffed. Oh, well, not scuffed necessarily. We're very lenient on them to reduce the wear. Just very used. I mean, used. So, if he's going for a 2-stop, I'd imagine that he'd go in now. Will Razi go in now? He will. So, he'll either go for a set of hards or probably a set of mediums and go on to a set of soft. He can't go on to a set of mediums and make the end of this race. Rehad inherits the lead, then stays out a little bit longer. So does TJW. We'll see where Queener comes out relative to Razi. Queener and Razi, they're going to be very close on the exit. Razi's going to have the fresher tyres to try and hunt down Queener for probably the net race lead. VTEC's going to look to get past Razi on the pit exit. Sweeps around the outside. Razi, yep, VTEC, lovely stuff. Just finds the outside line of Razi. Razi on those fresh tyres. VTEC hasn't actually pit yet in this race. Razi on those fresh tyres going to look to make the move out of turn 4. Next braking zone of turn 5. Is turn 5? Well, would you count that? Yeah, turn 5, turn 6. Turn 6. I think it's time to turn, but he does make the move in turn 6 then. Razi through and probably will go to the end on those hard tyres. So the medium hard strategy looking like a good one to opt for. Ooh, puts a wheel off the track, however. Good work to not spin that car around. Sportmad sets the fastest lap of the race on the medium tyres, so that is an extra point for him and for McLaren in the Constructors' Championship, of which they currently lead, because those two have had a lot of solid performances. VTEC grabbing the DRS of Razi, almost pulls to the inside, so that would be a good move for VTEC, given that he still hasn't pitted yet in this race. TJW and Rehad both have not pit in this race. I don't see the strategy call here. They can't pit for another set of mediums because you need to use 2 different sets of types of tyre. And that's just cool, is just to have that 2 laps fresher of tyres. Look how high those tyre temperatures were on Rehad. 120 degrees? 111, that can't be right. 100 degrees fluctuating around there through some parts of the track. This proves how much that thermal degradation will kick in here. The hotter the tyre will just burn some of the rubber faster, causing the tyre to drop off on a performance cliff almost. Tyre don't got to be something to watch out for. We'll watch to see if Rehad pits. No, Rehad stays out. Will TJW pit? He hasn't broke yet, so yep, TJW from second on the track pulls into the pits for, I'd imagine, has to be a set of hards. A set of softs would not make you 14 laps, and you can't use another set of mediums. So there you go, TJW off of the hards. Yeah, okay, that makes sense now. Rehad and TJW, I don't think qualified on those hard tyres. 12th, 11th, so yeah. Rehad and TJW would not have started on those, on warm mediums, because they were 12th and 11th on the grid. Whereas Razi would have had worn mediums from qualifying. Razi now chasing down Queener. He's got half of the race left to do it. We'll see if those tyres make the end or if they'll pit for anything else. Queener already spending up, I believe, best part of 10 laps on those tyres. Oh no, not 10, 5 laps. Did he do 9 laps on softs? He did not do 9 laps on softs. If you didn't need 9 laps on softs, he boxed at the end of lap 8. So that was good time management from Queener then. Good time management from Queen to make 8 laps on this soft. We'll see if Rehad can do something similar, because Rehad will only have to go 5 more laps on mediums to use a set of softs at the end. Whether that is a better strategical decision or not will be up to Rehad. I imagine that he's got to pit. We have to use 2 different compounds, so he either has to pit for hards, probably around now, definitely around now even, or wait probably about 5 more laps and go to a set of softs, which seems like a very unlikely cause to try and do 20 laps on a set of mediums. VTech is also one who hasn't pit off those mediums yet, so we'll see if that's going to be an option in this race or not, but it would appear to be what Rehad is trying. Otherwise he probably would have pitted at the same time of Nolan Mitch, or probably any of the other cars, but VTech and Rehad still out there on their starting mediums. They would have had completely fresh tyres from the start, however, because of them both qualifying outside of the top 10. You see there, that's confirmation. No, VTech started 10th. No, VTech didn't get a lap in, did he? So VTech also definitely would have had fresh tyres. So we'll see. Rehad's still staying out, so I have to imagine that Rehad is going to pit for softs in this race instead of hard. Very risky decision. Medium soft strategy. We'll see if it is doable. If you're in the chat, please let me know what you think the strategical call for Rehad is. You see Rigby has pulled into pits after 11 laps on mediums. And he's put on another new set of mediums, so I'd have to imagine Rigby will go 12 laps to the end. Probably opting for a undercut on Lash. So those two were a similar position. Rehad is still out there. Will Rehad box this lap? The answer is of course no. Rehad does run wide and picks up a 3-second penalty. However, so that is both Aston Martins with 3-second penalties, nobody else with penalties just yet. So if a safety car came out, they'd be the ones to suffer. Rehad with an absolute masterclass on those tyres. Starting at the 17th lap now. And he's still setting he's setting consistent lap times. If we go on the race director, he's setting consistent lap times. He actually just did... Rehad has just done his fastest lap of the race. That was with the warning. But look at those times. Consistent 37.0, 36.8, 37.0, 37.2. But if you 37.0, he's consistently 1 minute 37 to every lap. It's only 4 tenths quicker than Queener on hard. It's only 2 tenths slower. Sorry, 4 tenths slower than Queener and 2 tenths slower than Razi on newer mediums. So this is an absolutely amazing drive for Rehad. And you see it out. VTEC now pulls into the pit lane from 4th, and after 16 laps on those tyres, well 17 laps even, end of lap 17 was when he pitted, plus the formation laps, so technically 18 laps, opts to finally get rid of those mediums and go for a set of softs. So a soft medium strategy is definitely possible around this track if you have the capability to pull it off. If you have the setup that looks after the tyres, and if you have the driving ability to just keep those tyres in track, Rigby has lost some of his ability and he spins in turn 2. Does to Ferrari, so Ferrari looking very out of sorts. Rehad carries on still. With only 9 laps to go, I'd have to imagine that Rehad would be looking to put on a set of softs very, very soon. And VTEC was 4th on track and came out 16th, so 24 to 30 seconds ish. Actually no, I'd say Rehad would be looking at joining in 3rd. Maybe. Yes? No? VTEC was 4th before, which means he was somewhere 10 seconds around Nolan Midge. From memory, he was about 3 seconds ahead. So I think VTEC has lost about 19 seconds. So I think Rehad would come out somewhere around Nolan Midge. So Rehad going this extra length on those mediums would put him in a good position for a podium. Which if he did pull off successfully, would easily win driver of the day, for me at least. Rigby retires in the pit. Okay, yeah, retirement in the pits for Rigby. Running very, very poorly. Probably just gonna hop off a bit early. Or he had to go somewhere. Good that he's retired in the pits at least. Rehad still stays out, so Rehad wants to minimise the laps on those softs, and why not? The pace that he's currently got on those things. Oh dear. Rigby's AI has pulled back out onto the track after he retired in the pits. That is frustrating. We'll look to check again on the pace of Rehad. See, yeah, Rehad still very, very consistent, good lap times. 36.7 on the last lap. 37.2 and a 37.1 since we left it, but then that 36.7 probably equals that back out to 37 flats. 8 laps left, 9 drivers remain. VTEC sets a fastest lap of a 35.0. And Queen are still out, currently in the net lead. Rossley's not had the pace to be able to catch Queener. He actually dropped back about 2 seconds since he first came out on hards. Gap was around 6 seconds, it's about 8 seconds now. 7 seconds. So Rehad, 20th lap, is he into the pits? Rehad into the pits. An brilliant case of tyre management in that stint for Rehad. He does 20 laps on those medium tyres and finally pits for those soft tyres. And we'll see where he comes out. I reckon he'll be around Nolan Mitch. Will he come out in a podium position? He's got a 3-second penalty, but he's also got those fresh tyres. But it won't matter. Rehad comes out on track in P3. He now just has to bridge a little bit of a gap to Nolan Mitch to secure that podium, but he's going to want more. And he's 9 seconds off of the leader of Queener with only 7 laps to go. So, if Rehad can find that time, he's got a 3-second penalty, so he needs to gain about 11 seconds. But the VTEC did a 35.0, and he's got less fuel than VTEC would have had at this point in the race. So Rehad's going to have an even lighter car than VTEC, and he's going to have fresher tyres now. So we'll see. Rehad could still win this race. He's only he's only just over a second behind Razi. That gap car. No, he's not a second behind Razi. He's 8 seconds behind. So maybe Rehad can't win this race. No, he's 15 seconds behind Queener. He needs to find 17 seconds in 7 laps. I'm smart. So apologies, Rehad needs to find best part of 17 seconds to gain a position to win the on track. Queener will be then now looking quite comfortable seeing that gap for Rehad. Still an excellent performance by Rehad on a brilliant tyre saving race to boost him into contention. Probably led the most laps of any driver in this race. Actually no, yeah, he would have led quite a lot of laps. Well, yeah, no, blah, blah, blah. Because before him Razi would have been leading. But Razi pitted, yeah. Rehad led about 8 laps. He led from lap 12 to lap 21 or 22 did he pit? But he's on, yeah, he led about 9 laps did Rehad. Queener probably definitely would have led the most laps in this race then. Not Rehad, unfortunately. That would have been too good of a story to tell. Rehad gaining on the lead too. You can see Razi now ahead of him in the hairpin. He might get him on track, but he's got a 3-second penalty as well. Provisionally, if he didn't get that removed, Rehad would probably lose out to Razi unless he gained the about 8 seconds he needs. Does the fastest lap of the race. That's a 34.4. That's a 6/10 faster lap than VTEC. So we'll compare the pace of the front three to Rehad. on those final last lap. 36.8 for Razi, 36.792 for Queener. So very close between those two, and then Rehad 34.4. So that is the best part of 2.5 seconds faster per lap for Rehad. So if you could keep those tyres in a good enough condition and not just push them too soon. But I mean, given the 20 laps on mediums he did, I wouldn't put it past him to manage his tyres to the end. Lars has just got past NJ Devil further back for 7th and 8th. NJ Devil's already lost quite a considerable amount of time, so he must have had a spin, I imagine. Doesn't detract from Lars making the overtake, however, into 7th place on the Williams. Running a special Ukraine coloured helmet, of course. Yeah, we all know what's happening there. And everyone at SRL is very concerned for Ukrainians. We did the 2 minutes of silence last week. Did the silence last week. Unfortunately, that only happened on the Tier 1 and Tier 3 races because there was no Tier 2 stream. There will be a Tier 2 stream this week. That, I believe, is being covered by Yari. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Tier 2. Michael Tybe with a big championship lead of about 40 points to the second closest car of Lunar Jedi, and then another 4 points separate Lunar Jedi and, well, me. I try to not say about myself, but yeah. Looking for 3 straight wins for McLaren. McLaren very, very good in recent weeks. They picked up the win in Tier 1 with SF Rock last Friday. So this would be, well, if they win, if Queener can keep his car together for the next 5 laps, it would be 3 consecutive wins for McLaren. Didn't win in Tier 3 last week. That was, of course, Rehad. Lars has spun round. Rehad won here in Tier 3 last week at Mexico, as you would have seen if you did join myself on the stream commentary for that race. Very, very good race, mixed up by a safety car. Razi, probably the biggest loser from that safety car, I think, but still came back for an excellent finish. Sport Mad pulls into the pits. NJ Devil, Lars had spun, which would have given NJ Devil the P7, and then just a lap later, NJ Devil finds himself spinning and spinning yet again. Very, very warm tyres. Needs to be a lot more careful and just float that car around. He's not even in a very good fuel position. You look at his dash, 0.007 above his target. And the same for Lars. So Lars is, just a little bit under on his fuel. Some of these drivers have under-fueled their car. Sportmad is 0.3 over, so Sportmad probably will be fine to the end of this race. VTEC I have no way of telling because my cockpit cam settings for the pass is not very good. TJW is fine. Both Mercedes are fine. And then everybody else is... Oh no, Queen is on 0.2 over, but that should be fine for him. Battle on the track at the minute is between VTEC and TJW. 6-lap-old softs, so probably the better tyre for VTEC compared to TJW on those 10-lap-old softs. Rehad has closed right onto the back of Razi now. So should that 3-second penalty for Rehad be removed, this would be a battle for second place on the track. Still 3-lap-old tyres, so Rehad will definitely have good pace still on those mediums, on those softs even. In the round turn 14, he's going to engage his overtake. Razi's light flashing, he's also engaging his overtake. He's got the DRS, pulls to the outside, and Razi's going to have to accept that position, or he won't. He's going to fight it back on the brakes. Won't be able to fight it back for too long. Rehad much better traction on the exit, and Rehad goes up into P2. 3 laps remaining to try and extend that gap out to 3 seconds. We'll see if he can't get that 3-second removed. He does need to gain 2.5 seconds in those 3 laps, which, given that just before he was best part of 2.5 seconds a lap faster than Razi on those new tyres, wouldn't be putting it past Rehad to be able to do that. He's already gained a second, which is good for him because it means that Razi drops out of the DRS, and he's got, oh, Razi, no, there's the break for Rehad. Oh no, Rehad has just spun on the exit of turn 6. About to Rehad with a break because Razi got a 3-second penalty. And Rehad has unfortunately just cost himself probably a decent chance at catching Quina for the win, because he's spun on the exit of turn 6. That is really upsetting for Rehad. He's now got to be very careful on his tyres. He can still hunt down Razi, because both of them with 3-second penalties, but he's going to have to do it all over again, and that will put Quina probably, unless something drastically wrong happens, out front for the McLaren. Quina probably very much safe out front. That is heartbreaking. Wow, that is very, very upsetting. Sportmad now does the fastest lap of the race with a 33.9, so Rehad won't get that extra point as well now. That will go to McLaren. So Sportmad just played a little bit of a team game to help McLaren and their constructors. He was already having quite a poor race. Unfortunate with a couple of spins, and was Sportmad. And then of course he had that lap where he was going to be a lot slower because he spun on the exit of the final corner and then had to carry around the car with damage for an entire lap, effectively from the exit of the final corner on one lap to the pits at the beginning of the next, well, yeah, it's the end of the next, yes. So yeah, race coming to a close very shortly here in tier 3, and shortly over for tier 2 just after this. Two laps to go. And Rehad definitely not going to get that P2s. Unless a penalty for Razi becomes apparent. Because NG Devil is just pitted, so NG Devil is looking to steal the fastest lap. And with that penalty that NG Devil has, he could put himself, if he does something bad, NG Devil could put himself at risk of losing that position to Sportmad, which would not be a good thing if you are someone at Aston Martin, because you'd probably be quite annoyed at NG Devil for doing that, because bit of a risky call with the gap being that close and fluctuating constantly. VTech is going to look to fluctuate his way up the order into P5. He's got DRS on the main straight, can't make the move yet. He's going to stick behind. It's going to leave him in a good position to get the DRS from TJW at the final very long straight. Will he get close enough into turn 6? He won't. So VTech probably just looking to stay very close. NJ Devil has pulled a second to Sportmad, so NJ Devil needs to just keep his car on the road. He's very close on fuel for actually making the end of this race, as is Sportmad, I believe. Yeah, Sportmad very close to running out. NJ Devil will go for the fastest lap. Quina will be going around the final two corners. I thought Sportmad had spun, he's correct there. Quina is around the final hairpin for the final time. And around the final corner for Quina, who's going to be back on top in SRL Tier 3. Quina wins in China. Razi will follow home in second with a 3-second penalty, as does Rehad, so those two positions could swap should Rehad get a penalty removed, but I think Razi could also get a penalty removed. Fortunately, Rehad and Razi complete the podium. Nolan Mitch will bring home a good P4 for Mercedes, his teammate just behind him, managing to hold off VTech's Haas efforts in the dying laps of the race. So TJW in 5th, VTech comes home in 6th, and you got a big gap till Larsh. Sportmad picks up a 3-second penalty. Sportmad very much struggling. He's not got much that he can lose now. NJ Devil's trying to gain the fastest lap point off of Sportmad on the final lap. Lash very close on the fuel, and he actually does run out of fuel shortly before the line. It won't cost him many positions. Last come home in 7th eventually. NG Devil is currently pushing for the fastest lap, so we'll see if NG Devil steals that point off of McLaren or not. Off of McLaren and Sportman. Or will he run out of fuel because he's very close as well? 0.001 over, and NG Devil does take the fastest lap of the race by not that much actually. That was quite close. Gap, fastest lap. Yeah, by half a second. Sportmad comes home in P9. There you go, race over for China. P4 and P5 for Mercedes, great team result for them. Quina taking home the trophy for China, and then Rihad with another podium. So Rihad, very good performance by him as well. Time management was very key in this race. You saw Quina extending that first stint to 8 laps. NJ Devil unable to capitalize on his pole position. There we go, race over. Final results from China, provisionally at least. Any of this could change with post-race penalties. I don't think much of it will. That podium 12 seconds clear of the nearest car. Razi and Rihad probably the only two that could swap round on the podium. Then you got NJ Devil and Nolan Mitch. Nolan Mitch, then TJW in 4th and 5th for Mercedes. Formation positions for them. TJW doing a great job to hold up VTEC at the end of this race. Then Larsh, NJ Devil steals the fastest lap of the race. Couldn't convert that pole into a win. Struggled on the race pace a bit and some spins. Sportmad, another one suffering from the spins. He got the DNS of the race. Both Ferraris, Rigby and Havoc Connor, and then Pool Elite and Sunset Smiler. But there you go. That will be it from Tier 3 of China, Tier 3 of SRL in China. Next week we'll be entering the double digits races of the season. There'll be the crunching point of the season, Jeddah, Imola and Bahrain, to finish up the season. Razi and looking to hold his ground in the championship ahead of Quina and Rihad. Actually, Rihad P3 in the championship before this race, and he will stay around that point with another strong finish today. So the top 3 in the championship are the 3 that finish on the podium, which has got a weirdly satisfying element to it. But we'll see next week with a very satisfying track to drive next week of Jeddah. Very difficult to completely nail, but it's very satisfying when you do. Next up will be the Tier 2 race from China. Looking for another good competition in that race. Michael Type looking to bounce back after not winning for a few weeks actually. Last one in Portugal, then back-to-back wins for McLaren. And there we go, I've got the invite, so I will be ending the stream now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you shortly for Tier 2, which I think will be covered by Yari.